Hello and welcome to Blitzpools Presents Cricket News Podcast Season 4. It's time for episode 5. I am Rahul Pandey and it's been more than 1 week since IPL began. We've had 14 games so far and clearly a lot to talk about, which is exactly what we talked about in this episode. And as of now, when we have just finished our recording, Rajasthan Royals are about to play against Royal Challengers Bangalore on 29th of September, Wednesday, which is important for you to understand whenever you're going to listen this episode. And we, in this particular episode, did decipher the mystery around Sinister Six. Who are they, you'll ask? The Sinister Six are the 6 teams who do not occupy the top 2 spots as of now. And we did talk about how they have performed in this UAE leg. What have been the key talking points for them? Who have been the stars? Who have been the disappointments? And also, what are their chances in terms of qualifications? So, made up a pretty exciting chat with Abhishek, Mukherjee and Sandipan Banerjee from Cricket News. But before I ask you to brace yourself for the episode beginning, which is when these two gents give their viewpoints, I would like to tell you what the table is, the points table is as of now. Chennai Super Kings on top after 10 games, which they have played. They have 16 points. Second is, Delhi Capitals. After 11 games, they also have 16 points. Royal Challengers Bangalore, before the Rajasthan Royals game, they played 10 games and have 12 points. Fourth is Kolkata Knight Riders, who have had, quite the turnaround in UAE after 11 games. They have 10 points. Mumbai Indians also have 10 points after 11 games, but don't have such a nice net run rate as KKR does. Punjab Kings, they are at 6th. After 11 games, they have 8 points. 8 points. Rajasthan Royals, after 10 games, have 8 points and they are at 7th. And Sunrisers Hyderabad, after 10 games, have 4 points. Just 2 wins for them in 10 games. So that's how the points table is as of now. And that's going to be the premise of our conversation, which is going to follow just now. But before that, I would like to tell you about Blitzpools, who are our fantasy gaming partners, also our partners with association to whom we are bringing this podcast to you. And so what you need to do with this information is that if you've been just enjoying watching cricket, I think you can double up that enjoyment by downloading the Blitzpools app. You can sign up to their service and make sure you make your fantasy 11 for all the games and then win big, have the chance to win big. And when you do win big, you, of course, enjoy a lot more, don't you? Well, that's just me. That's a bad plugin, right? But yeah, let's just start the episode now. Let's just start. Well, every time at this stage of the Indian Premier League, with each of the teams about to play their last 3-4 games, there's still a lot to be played for. And when we talked about this season just a couple of weeks back, why did we think it was going to be any different? We, of course, pointed out on 4 teams that had the best chance, and now it doesn't look like the same 4 teams have the best chance. Well, quite a few things have changed. And what had seemed like an obvious top 4 doesn't seem like an obvious one right now. And we're going to talk about that in this episode of the Cricket News podcast. Joining me are the 2 big brains, ears and eyes of the Cricket News writing team, Abhishek, Mukherjee and Sandipan Banerjee. Welcome, gents. Before we roll into the congested and very exciting mid-table talks, your 3 words to define the UAE season so far?
3 words? I don't know. Slow, low pitches. I think that is the highlight so far.
Yeah, and that's a good one. That's good. Yeah, Sandipan, yours?
I'm just trying to figure out the middle name of Venkatesh Iyer. Then it would have been a perfect 3 words.
You can use you can use sobers. It's okay.
Oh, that will be nice. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can open the batting, bowl. I mean, he looks like. I mean, I know it's a bit early to say, but he looks like an mature version of Hardik Pandya in the making.
Yeah, let's see. I mean, the thing is, he has to maintain this.
Yeah. Well, bit of a long road ahead for Venkatesh Iyer, bit of a long road ahead for us as well as we start with the discussions. So let's dive into it. Let's talk about the stuff that has happened so far. I mean, we were talking about the top four, and then we saw two teams who are in the top two as of now and look relatively comfortable as far, and we can even say they are more than 1 foot in that playoffs race. But when we talk about the other two spots, there's quite a race.
You can call them in terms of the points table. You can call them comfortable.
Yeah, that's about the right term to put in there. But let's talk about the others in there, right? Let's talk about the other teams and start with the team that has completely changed the course of their season. I mean, we were talking about this team before we previewed the UAE leg, and we thought there were quite a few areas to be addressed. But as Sandipan so rightly put forward, a name which has been there in the headlines over the last couple of weeks, and quite a few things have gone right for them. They won their first game, and then they won their second. They lost their third by a close margin, and then they have recently won their fourth. It is looking very good for Kolkata Knight Riders, beating the big teams, and now at the fourth spot in the points table. Sandipan, what has changed for the Knight Riders this particular time? Looks like a completely different unit.
I mean, they have beaten probably the potential all the semi-finalists. I mean, playoff contenders for this UAE. I mean, for this IPL.
The big ones.
Now they have. And they can get 6 points out of. I mean, if they play according to their potential, they can get 6 points out of those games. Yeah. So it's looking very. Because at the start of this UAE league, I thought that KKR is just a formality left for them, because they had to play all these four top big games back to back, and I never expected this. I never expected this kind of a turnaround. And a lot has to do with Venkatesh Iyer. What a all-rounder he has been. I mean, I genuinely believe if Venkatesh Iyer bowled that over instead of Prasidh Krishna against CSK, I think KKR might have got 2 more points as well. So, but let's find. I mean, that's all right. But so far, I think it has been a wonderful journey for KKR in this UAE leg of the IPL. I think the mentality has changed. You can see this. There's Subman Gill trying to take advantage of the power play. He's charging against the bowler. So their mentality has changed. They are playing with a no fear approach. I mean, look at the way Nitish Rana played in the last game. Like when wickets were.
I mean, you can see Brendan McCullum is coaching them.
Exactly. I mean, the Brendan McCullum kind of approach you can see. You have never anticipated someone like Gill play those kind of shots in the first few games. I mean, that took the opponents by surprise. And then, of course, Venkatesh Iyer. I mean, his cover drives are just mouth-watering. I mean, what can I say? So wonderful cover driver he is, and I mean, wonderful timer of a cricket ball, I guess, and that too on those slow, low pitches.
Yeah.
So imagine if he plays at the at Eden Gardens, where the pitch is very true and the bounce is very good. The ball comes on the bat. And to add to that is his bowling. I mean, I think initially Morgan he underbowled him in some of the previous games. I mean, This is
my guess. The teams assembled some time ago, and then Morgan arrived recently. Everyone arrived recently. They saw Iyer bowling in the nets, and they saw, okay, let's give him 1 over. Okay, let's give him another. And this is how it happens. I mean, maybe until the last match, he was not bowling that well in the nets. So you just don't get him to bowl the 19th over against Chennai. Someone without any major bowling at this level. So probably Morgan gave him the full quota, They gave him an extended run when his team was bowling first and there was no actual pressure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that might have happened.
Yeah. And also,
but he was executing those. Your bowling at the depth. I think he bowled a 19th over against Delhi, right? And he was bowling. He was hitting those right areas, especially those Yorker length, quite consistently. He kept Rishabh Pant at bay, I guess, if I can remember.
Yeah, he bowled really well. His run up and everything looks very innocuous. He doesn't look threatening at all until he releases that ball.
Yeah. Talking about releasing the ball, another positive for KKR has been Sunil Narine. I mean, it was very important for him also, if given that chance in those 4 overseas player spots to perform. And he has done that last game, doing it with the bat as well. A bit of a good show there in the low scoring game. And with Andre Russell missing out on the last particular fixture, KKR would be a little more confident with Sunil Narine showing those shots of his, and going into the last few games, you'd need your big players to be in that kind of form.
Of course. First of all, see, Narayan, even with Narayan, this is not the Narayan of 2013, 14, 15, 16, but he is still a very good bowler. Even when he is not at 100, even if he is at 90% of them, but 90% of 100 is still 90. That is a class ahead of others. You saw him we saw yesterday that Lalit had Lalit could not read him at all.
Yeah.
So, in this format, Narayan is a class bowler. There's no doubt about that. Even when he is not at his best. About his batting, I have always thought that yesterday he took me a bit by surprise. Narayan is a very good I would say, attacker against spin. Not a very good attacker against bounce. Rabada tried a bouncer. Yeah. It took the top edge and went for 4 or 6. That was the 6, right?
Yeah.
And after that, everything changed.
Yeah.
So, that top edge could have gone anywhere. But then that is this format.
Yeah.
Had that top edge gone to a fielder, this would have been a different discussion altogether. Rabada, before this match, I think had bowled only 8 balls to Narayan in IPL or something. And he had conceded just 4 runs. So he was backing him. Rabada also did the right thing. He bowled a bouncer. And that went for a top edge 6. On another day, it would have been a catch. So the batting, I'm still not convinced. Narayan at the top I still believe it's a good idea. Narayan in the middle order also, I still believe is a good idea. But the bowling, Narayan's bowling, I think he's still one of the best in business.
Yeah. And good positive for Kolkata Knight Riders there. They are at the 4th spot as far as the points table is concerned. Now, to talk about the other teams there and moving from purple to the team in pink, were on 5th before the UAE leg kicked off. We're talking about Rajasthan Royals here. They'd lost the first game of the season in India from a very close margin, and they won the first game of this leg with a close from a close margin, but then losing the last 2. And now
these are Rajasthan Punjab games. Punjab games should be discussed separately. They are not.
Yeah, we'll be talking about the 2 teams. We'll be talking about the 2 teams in a row.
Rajasthan versus Punjab is a different concept. Yeah. I would say it's a concept.
It is.
Because they are not.
because when we talk about the win in that first game, it was a huge morale booster. Wins like these can potentially lift the team. And when you saw the young players perform the way they did in that fixture, Mahipal, Lomrod, and by the way, you got it spot on. In our preview, you talked about how that franchisee backs young players. They did that. But then afterwards, games that could have been won were lost by both the teams. We are, of course, right now talking about Rajasthan. What do you see going forward? How do the franchisees change that? What's needed in that dressing room to change that whole discussion around games such as these so that it doesn't happen in the future?
First of all, when you say that morale boosting win, I don't know. I mean, that is one thought. I mean, we use these concept morale boosting win, and then we use momentum. Some cricketers
Yeah.
use these words, and then there are cricketers who claim that the result of the previous match is in the past.
Yeah.
It will
Right.
not affect the performance in this match. There are both kinds of cricketers. I have heard both versions.
Yeah.
One group takes a mood lifter, a morale booster from the previous outcome, and the other group says, okay, what happened in the past is in the past. This is a new day altogether. So I don't know which group. I mean, I guess both groups are there. Yes, but for the fans, it was a huge morale booster. That there's no doubt. And we were as supporters, we were shocked, and then suddenly we realized that we saw Mumbai Indians losing a match and Rajasthan was suddenly sixth. And then there was a possibility that Rajasthan would be third. And then on the same day, instead of being third, they came down to seventh. They're still possibly seventh now. And if they win by a big margin today, a really big margin, they may go to fourth. So I don't even know what to expect, but I really, realistically, unless they pick Shreyas Gopal today and Shreyas Gopal does what he usually does against RCB, I can't see anything. I mean, a turnaround for Rajasthan. I'll be really surprised if Rajasthan suddenly turns things around and wins. But of course, you never know. Suppose Liam Livingstone, given the form he was in England, suddenly decides to find his form today. We saw that last year. Ben Stokes coming back from a personal tragedy, landing and then scoring 100, a match-winning 100 against a major side. I mean, he batted throughout the innings.
Yeah.
So this is a format like that. I mean, one player performing for 40 minutes, 50 minutes, an hour can change. Even I think it was against Rajasthan, Mumbai Indians, right? Stokes got 100 last time.
Yeah.
Maybe it will be Livingston this year. Maybe it will be Lewis. You never know. Though the two Rajasthan players I have been really impressed by are Sanju Samson, who earlier seemed to somehow lose his form as the season progressed. But now, maybe because there was a break, he thinks there are two season starts.
Yeah.
He is getting runs. He got the orange cap for a while. The other is Mustafizur Rahman, of course. Mustafizur Rahman, I think I have been telling this for a while. He is he is someone who should be talked about more highly. He bowls only with the new ball, only with the death, and has a ridiculous economy rate. He takes wickets at regular intervals. I mean, he is someone the opposition, I believe, is scared of, though he does not look scary at all. He does not go for runs, and yet he takes wickets. I think he's a dangerous bowler, and he has proved his worth this time as well.
Yeah.
So apart from, I don't think there are many consistent performers.
Yeah, and even in that close game, it was his 19th over, which really set the tone for the final over, where Punjab, of course, the pressure on.
It was 8 from 2 overs, and he went for 4 in that over, in that 19th over.
Yeah. Was quite the game. And Sandipan, your observations as far as the bowling department is concerned, because we were talking about the new players coming in, Tabraiz Shamsi. Of course, you can't judge a player just in 3 games, and it's just been the start for him in terms of the IPL journey. He just played the first once, didn't play the first one, was picked in the second, didn't play the other one then. How important has Rajasthan's bowling been for you so far in the UAE League?
I think their pace brigade, left arm pace brigade, they have done, I think, fairly well. But I'm very disappointed in Morris. I thought Morris, would have been, much more effective. But probably he's going through a bad patch at this point. He's struggling with his batting. He's struggling with his bowling. I don't know whether they will pick him or not today. Ideally, he should not. But he adds, because they don't have a proper, genuine all-rounder. That's why they probably have to pick him. But I guess Rajasthan's bowling. I think in some of the games Tewatia also bowled quite well. I mean, Rajasthan's slow bowlers are doing actually quite. I think Indian contingent actually they are doing pretty well. I guess. I mean, especially these kind of wickets, slow low wickets, as shooting. Mohipal Lomror or this Tewatia, they are doing well and they are bowling quite a few good overs in the middle overs. It is, so I think at this point I can see Rajasthan Royals. I mean, honestly, nobody would have expected Rajasthan without their big guns. I mean, the English big guns to do right, but it is because of their bowling and Sanju Samsung in the batting there. That's why they are still in the race. I mean, they can still make it to the playoffs. So
theoretically, even Hyderabad is not ruled out.
Yeah.
No, Hyderabad is ruled out because they can maximum reach to 14 points, right?
So no.
So that is, and if Kolkata lose everything, they'll be stuck on what? I mean, Hyderabad can still.
So there's the situation for Hyderabad as of now is that they would need Punjab, Mumbai, Rajasthan, and another team to win just one game out of the remaining ones, and for them to win all of them, their games. So it's a dicey situation, but we can't rule them out.
So essentially, one of those situations where you have to take out a paper and calculate.
Yeah.
But they are still there theoretically.
The Hyderabad is very close to. Yeah, Hyderabad is very close to Bangalore. They can probably travel there and ask the fans how you did that over the last few years. They'll be very much used to this. So I think that will.
But the Hyderabad story should revolve around at this point the 4 changes they made in the previous match.
Yeah,
that resulted in a win.
Yeah.
What if they had picked Jason Roy earlier in the season instead of Warner?
It's been about David Warner somehow or the other. It's been about him playing or not playing, being the captain or not being the captain. And we don't really want to delve into the reports because obviously until and unless there's some sort of confirmation given from the franchisee or the player, that should be the idea of the discussion. But it's been tough for Hyderabad in the sense that, as soon as that change was made, things weren't going to go easily for them.
See, Rajasthan and Hyderabad and in recent years, Kolkata have been the 3 teams. Of course, now also I suppose this also applies to Punjab in some ways, that they have moved away from this this individual-centric teams. When you think of Hyderabad, when you think of Rajasthan, you don't think of individuals, you think of a team. That is probably also because they don't have the big Indian names. But Hyderabad's focus has been too much on Warner. It's mostly a fan focus. It's mostly a media focus. I don't know about the team management per se. But suppose it's time that, it was time that Hyderabad left Warner out. They did that in the first half. They did that again. And I hope this turns out to be well. And at the same time, I wish Warner sorts out his form and returns to the Hyderabad team because he has been a pillar. And I really like to watch Warner bat.
Yeah, that story. We talk about emotional connects when we talk about franchisee cricket, and the connect between David Warner and the Hyderabad fans has been something else. It's been part of their story in IPL. And talking about Hyderabad, well, the last win, we just did mention about it. They've looked strong in terms of ticking a few boxes with Jason Holder coming in, potentially with the bat and the ball performed in that game against Punjab, but then replica of that fixture they lost to Punjab last time around. That was 126. I guess there was a difference of 1 run in both the fixtures, but losing games such as these obviously will put the morale down for the team.
Yeah, I suppose, but then again, see, Hyderabad, I think they actually did make some serious changes to the 11, as I mentioned. And I suppose they are going to stick to this 11 for the rest of the series tournament with minor changes or something. I can really see Hyderabad backing this new bet. I mean, if they know that the tournament, the playoffs, the chances for playoffs are very bleak. So if they have won one match, let's stick to the same plan.
Yeah, yeah.
And still no Mohammad Nabi in their scheme of things.
The problem is they have to play Williamson, now they have to play Roy, and they have to play Rashid, and they have to play Holder. You can't just leave any of them out.
Yeah. And we're talking about
unless someone gets injured, it's difficult to pick Nabi Nabi anywhere.
Yeah, and they've been very much dependent on their 4 overseas players. I mean, throughout, we also talk about the winning season in 2016. We talk about 2018.
See, that's the other thing. They almost never had a big Indian name other than Bhuvaneshwar Kumar.
Yeah.
I mean, a big name who can say, whom you could call a senior of the side. You can say Manish Pandey and Kedar Jadhav are sort of seniors, but who is sort of, I mean, you can call a senior.
Yeah. Well, Hyderabad.
So their focus has been on overseas. By the way, Rajasthan has the same problem. They don't have that one senior Indian player.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Unadkat is a huge name in Indian domestic circuit. He's a Ranji Trophy giant, both as player and captain. But this is not the same format.
Yeah. Well, difficult road in terms of qualification for Hyderabad. Have only 2 wins out of 10 games that they have played. Will be tricky for their fans to see the next few fixtures, but a few positives there. So might as well look out for that big IPL auction, which is what our 2 panelists here said in our UAE leg preview. Time for a little break in the Cricket News podcast this episode, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned. Well, time for a little break before we resume with all the cricket talk. But before that, the Cricket News Podcast Season 4 is proudly supported by Blitzpools, an app which lets you make the most of your cricket expert and cricket fantasy knowledge and ensures that you and your experience as a fan is never just restricted to watching the game. So, if you haven't already, do download the Blitzpools app right now. Like now. Well, we promised we'd talk about Punjab just after Rajasthan, but then we got deviated to Hyderabad, which is okay. Now, we do have to talk about Punjab in the same way, with taking the same deep breaths that KL Rahul did after yesterday's fixture against Mumbai Indians, where he seemed a little short of answers. It's obviously troublesome for the captain also to come and say things after every game when he's been part of a squad that's been losing games right in the end from positions where they could have won. He said, "It is what it is. I think we haven't done well as a team in terms of taking the pressure." Well, Punjab starting their campaign this time around, just one win out of their 3 games, and losing games again from situations where they could have won. Even yesterday against Mumbai, a particular time they seemed in control, but then the partnership between Hardik Pandya and Saurabh Tiwari put Mumbai in the promising position, and that Kieron Pollard hitting those the 1-4 and the 1-6 to take Mumbai across the line. Punjab, for them, does it look like the qualification is another dream this season and not so much so near the reality?
I really don't know what goes wrong with Punjab. Honestly, you see the number of close matches they lose. I don't even know I mean, how they can lift this. It is not that they are playing poor cricket.
Yeah,
they somehow find themselves in winning positions and then they lose the matches.
Yeah,
they beat Hyderabad, of course. They almost lost that match, by the way.
Yeah.
So that could have been another instance. It was basically which side played worse. So Hyderabad basically out-Punjab.
Yeah. It was on till the last over, the Nathan Ellis.
I mean, Punjab, how could they lose against Rajasthan?
Yeah.
They had Mumbai under pressure. I mean, they could have won all 3 matches.
Yeah.
I don't know how they managed to lose the advantage in the end stages so often.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
they have a wonderful Indian contingent of bowlers who have done pretty well for them. Even Arshdeep Singh yesterday, apart from those couple of hits in the end, and he was excellent. Ravi Bishnoi was dropped in the first game, came back, took those 3 wickets again. Yesterday, took those 2 important wickets.
I mean, how could you do? I mean, you have Rahul, you have Mayank, you have Gale, you have Puran. I mean, how do you? And you have Markram, and then you have this Indian set of Indian cricketers, Bishnoi and Brar and Arshdeep and Shami, and I mean, you can't just say, okay, this is Punjab's weak point.
Yeah.
There is nothing like that. They should be able to win more matches.
Sandipan,
I think their weak point is their I think their weak point is their own lack of belief in themselves that they can make it to the playoffs. I think KL Rahul said yesterday in the press conference, the post-match presentation, that winning is not in our hand. Something like he said, right?
Yeah.
Criticism on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you say that as a captain? I mean, look at Punjab. I think after losing to Rajasthan, they thought their season was over. I mean, if they couldn't score 8 of 12 balls, I mean, I think that was the turning point for Punjab. I guess from there they never looked back. Their performance
write down the Punjab 11 playing 11 on a paper and write down their opposition playing 11, and you'll realize that the Punjab side is not weaker than the opposition. They are at least as strong.
Yeah.
Still, somehow they end up losing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And it's not that some of their players are not performing. Most of their players are actually performing quite well.
Yeah.
But I guess it is not collective performance. I mean,
think
look at KL Rahul.
I think it's just about seeing the games through more than some individual performances. Even yesterday, that partnership between Markram and Deepak Hooda was vital, and I particularly thought the amount of runs that they had gotten might be very tricky for Bombay if the first few wickets fell early. Which
was tricky for Bombay. What if the catch wasn't dropped?
Yeah. Hardik Pandey was dropped when he was at 7.
67 for 4, I guess, was the score at one stage, and then
they dropped the catch, and Hardik took it away. And it was an off the form Hardik Pandya, out of form Hardik Pandya. He comes in, he gives a catch, you drop it, and he takes the match away.
Yeah, and we knew that even Krunal Pandya had been in the form, and the 2 quick wickets would have put the pressure back on Bombay. But it's just been Punjab. So how do you see them now moving in their last few games? Do you see some sort of spark in this Punjab team?
I don't know. They are defeating themselves. They are losing to themselves. They are not losing to the opposition.
Yeah.
But they will spoil the party for sure. One of the teams they will spoil the party. Sure. I think they have a game left against KKR.
Oh my God, that would be quite the game. I'm guessing quite a lot of.
Shami will be raring to go against his home side.
Oh yeah. He bowled nicely yesterday as well. The first few overs, it looked.
Shami is a very improved T20 bowler. He was not this good a T20 bowler 3-4 years ago.
Yeah,
he's a very improved T20 bowler.
I really admire the management and the owners of Punjab. I really admire Preeti Zinta. I mean, every year she supports her team like wholeheartedly, but every year it happens. It somehow happens with Punjab. I don't know how, why, but it somehow happens.
At some point it will click. I mean, like Delhi, the Delhi management backed their team for years and years and years, and now it is falling into place.
Punjab also tried that. They also changed their name also, but their team. But
just name changing.
Still, it is not clicking.
Yeah, if only changing the names helped. But that clearly hasn't helped Punjab either.
Well, it helped Delhi. It helped rising Pune super giant.
Yeah,
who came runners up after changing the name, who lost by 1 run.
But they were a 2-season team, weren't they?
Yeah, the first season they were super giants and they did very poorly. Next season they removed that S and they
They
finished
also
and they
changed
lost the final by 1 run.
They also changed their captain, which was very vital for them.
Yeah,
Sunrisers Hyderabad won 2 editions. Deccan Chargers won just 1.
Sunrisers.
Finally, this season had a controversy, which I liked.
Sunrise.
Yes.
Hyderabad team. Hyderabad used to be called as Deccan Chargers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different management, but Rising Pune Super Giants had 2 names for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Lots of
finally, we had our first major proper controversy, almost proper controversy. This Ashwin and Pant and Morgan and Saudi thing. I was missing controversy.
And
it's almost 45 matches in an IPL and no controversy. It's shameful.
Dinesh
I was giving up hope on IPL.
Cooling the 2 sides down. But what are your opinions on the whole thing? We've seen people and respectable people from the cricket fraternity giving their opinions on the same. What are your thoughts on it?
I think that law should be scrapped. There's no spirit here. The law should be scrapped. There should not batting side should not be allowed runs if a throw is deflected off the bat. I think that law should go. That law, because I don't know it. I don't like the law. There's no other reason. They can keep it. It's the same for both sides. So of course they can keep it.
Yeah.
But somehow I don't think that that is a likable law.
Yeah, Owen Morgan was on the other side of things when it happened just a couple of years ago. Very famous incident. But Sandipan, your thoughts on it?
It's funny that Owen Morgan is again now complaining against run scored of deflection. But it's okay.
Yeah.
That law should have been changed after the 2019 World Cup final.
Yeah.
You should not get runs off. After deflection from a batter's body or bat or something. That law could not have been changed before the final. England won it all right, the World Cup, but it could have been changed after the World Cup. That was a very good opportunity to change that law.
It was too big a game and it was too big a result to have been ignored.
But once you start the game, you have started under those laws.
Yeah.
So you can't change that.
Yeah.
But after the final, they could have changed that law. They changed the Super Over law, by the way.
Well, time for a little break before we resume with all the cricket talk. But before that, the Cricket News Podcast Season 4 is proudly supported by Blitzpools, an app which lets you make the most of your cricket expert and cricket fantasy knowledge and ensures that you and your experience as a fan is never just restricted to watching the game. So, if you haven't already, do download the Blitzpools app right now. Like now. Well, it's been a very different season for Mumbai Indians. That's what it was, just if we talked about the India League. But especially compared to their last 2 seasons, given the firepower in there, which hasn't been able to deliver the way it did, a win against Punjab last night would have given them a bit of sigh of relief, puts them at 5th spot, just below Kolkata with the same points, but a weaker net run rate. And that's pretty important with IPL, as we know. What's the position of you two as far as the Mumbai talks are concerned, and what have been the little positives if we talk about this Mumbai team so far?
Hardik's return to form. The middle order, that is Mumbai's strength. The not 5, 6, 7. Last year it was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
So Pollard was performing. Hardik has now arrived.
Yes.
Surya, I thought, got a good ball first up. Let's see how he shapes up.
Yeah.
But the openers are doing well and the bowlers are doing pretty well. The one plus is Bumrah. He always seems, even if the entire team fails around him, he'll still probably do well. He'll probably still bowl Yorkers at will. That's a treat watching Bumrah.
Yeah, he got all those 3 wickets against KKR when they won pretty comfortably.
If everything goes against Mumbai, Bumrah will still do something.
Yeah. More or less, these are the positives which are not just good for Mumbai Indians, but every Indian. Because, at one stage, if we are thinking of the Mumbai middle order failing and being a little happy, being supporters of other franchisees, we might as well think in a month's time, this is going to be very much India's middle order.
The anti-Mumbai Indians team will be supporting these same players
Of course.
in the same country in a month's time, in less than a month.
Yeah, and there are too many players in that squad who can enter into India's 11 on any given day. But another bit is Rohit Sharma's batting on top of order, because we talk about the complete Mumbai Indians batting order. Rohit Sharma somehow has seemed a little bit more confident than other batters around him at times.
He's doing better in comparison. To be fair, he's getting a lot. He's scoring the runs, but better is expected of him, probably.
Yeah. His take, which was very important yesterday after the game, when he was asked about the pitches in UAE, said that at least they're better than the ones we saw in England. That, I think, was the batter in Rohit Sharma talking, and not the captain.
Yeah, and I suppose, I have stopped taking press quotes seriously after a long time. I think they prepare these answers beforehand.
Okay.
They know what they can. They have a list of what can be asked. And Rohit is a very good speaker in press conferences, better than probably. Yeah. So he knows. I mean, press conference quotes are supposed to be cool. They're supposed to grab headlines. They're not supposed to provide you with material.
I think headlines are very much a large piece of material.
Press conference quotes are aimed at headlines.
Yeah. So, Sandipan, your thoughts on Mumbai Indians headlines and press quotes. You can give your thoughts on press quotes as well.
Yeah, Rohit is very good at the press conference, and Rohit can give you quotes as well. Rohit can give you headline materials as well. But talking about Mumbai Indians, I was actually very disappointed to see Surya not doing well, because India can make changes in their World T20 squad till a certain point of time, and if Surya doesn't perform in the next few games, probably he will miss his squad to someone like Shreyas Iyer, which there are some unconfirmed report in the media that BCCI has asked Shreyas Iyer to be ready. But Hardik, actually BCCI was concerned about the form.
Are you sure they're getting the right Iyer?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I would love to see Venkatesh Iyer, but I think it is too early for him. But he will eventually make it. He is a quality player for me, and he will eventually make it. But at this point, I would love to getting score at least some runs in the next few games, like Hardik scored in the last game. So I want to see Surya in India's World T20 squad.
Understand. They have picked a squad of 15 for a reason. Unless there is major injury, I think they are going with the same 15. Unless someone
they will definitely concern. They'll be concerned about the form of Ishan Kishan and Surya Kumar. I'm sure about that.
I will be really surprised if Chahal still doesn't make the cut. Because Chahal has been bowling really well. In the last match, Harshal got the headlines with the hat trick with his 4 wickets. Yeah. But I think Chahal bowled beautifully.
He got 3 for 13 in that game.
Mm-hmm.
But if Chahal plays, then they have to probably drop someone like Varun Chakravarti. I cannot see any other player being dropped, or maybe Ravichandran Ashwin, who is actually not doing well at this point. As a bowler, I expected more out of him.
I think he can replace us. I can't see why India are taking 3 seamers.
You have to have
many seamers do on these pitches?
India have picked five spinners. I think a spinner will.
I think India is short of spinner. I think seamers. I think India picked 1 seamer less.
I don't know what the pitches are going to be like, but if this is the pitch, these are the pitch conditions in end September, By end October, the pitches will be slower, even slower. I can't see Pacers getting anything in on this unless you are seriously quick.
Or unless you're very good at bowling the slow ones, just like Jasprit
I
Bumrah
mean,
is.
if you are a Naughty, you'll get wickets anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you are Mustafizur Rahman.
Yeah. Unless you're Mustafizur, of course.
It's a lot of unless.
Some bowler.
But
He's some bowler on low pitches. I think he's one of the best bowlers in low pitches I have ever seen. Best pacer, I mean.
Yes,
pace
absolutely. Especially in death bowling, I think he is one of the best in the world. I am really surprised that he doesn't play more. He doesn't get called up for more franchises. It's really surprising.
He does, but BCB doesn't release him because he's very injury prone.
That is a fair point.
Yeah, fair point. And for Mumbai, well, fifth, and you can never count them out. So very much into this race, and will be constantly putting the pressure on KKR, who are at fourth, and the two of them.
Just one more point. One more point I would like to make. Mumbai have a game. They have a game left against Delhi, and there will be two other easy games. I mean, comparatively easy games. Whereas KKR have left. I think. So if Mumbai can beat Delhi, then they can seriously, get back in the reckoning for making it to playoffs.
Mumbai have Rajasthan.
But obviously, they have to improve their net run rate.
Yes, it may eventually come down to net run rate. Let's see. But Mumbai have a game in hand, right? Mumbai have played one less game than Kolkata.
Are they? I don't think so. I think they have both have same amount of games left.
The two of them have played 11 games. RCB have a game in hand as of today when we are talking about this podcast, which they will play against Rajasthan. And Chennai and Hyderabad have played just 10 games. Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, and Punjab have played 11. So, yeah, that's the table situation as of now.
Yeah, so basically Mumbai's game against Delhi is like almost do and die game for them. If they have to beat Delhi.
Yeah.
And Delhi are the side to beat.
Yeah.
Well, as
Delhi will
now,
be more cautious. They'll be more cautious after losing to KKR.
They have
but that match, even after, consider Narayan's stoppage. We mentioned that in this. Had that stoppage gone anywhere else, they might have defended 127. How often do you see that? They made strategic errors by giving Lalit that extra over instead of Rabada or not yet. And yet they took the game to that situation. So, and against an informed side, a side doing well. So I think, the best teams, or they always lose at some point. At some point, you have to lose some matches. But they convert even, matches you see that seem one-sided, they even make it difficult for the opposition. I think Delhi are a good side, a very good side, who made KKR work for even a chase of 128.
Yeah.
Despite making strategic errors, despite some luck going KKR, I think Delhi have played fantastic cricket this time. And remember, there was no Prithvi Shaw.
Yeah. Steve Smith for the first time.
Even if Shaw had given them 10 runs extra, 5 runs extra, 5 runs would have mattered in that match.
Yeah.
10 runs would have mattered in that match.
Yeah, but even Steve Smith comparatively, scoring the highest run, the amount of runs for his team in that innings, stepping into the side. So they do have a good bench strength as well. Now, we were talking about Mumbai and Kolkata putting pressure on this team, which is at number 3. Lost early few games in the UAE leg, but now winning their last one, and today are going to face the other Royals of this tournament, Royal Challengers Bangalore. A few positives from them in the last few games. The biggest one being captain hitting those 2 consecutive 50s, looking in good touch scoring those crucial runs at the power play.
I think, Kohli has done better than he did in the first half, but still, I believe that the Bangalore top order needs to do better. I mean, they need to score more runs in the power play because they will get away in these matches. But when it comes to the playoffs, Chennai or Delhi, then these power play performances won't do. They will get away against the smaller oppositions.
Yeah.
I think the Bangalore bowling is fantastic.
Yeah, even Glenn Maxwell chipping in with his overs has been very, very crucial for them. Yeah, and Sandipan, on the batting note, there's been a bit of pressure on AB de Villiers as well. You know, when you see that two set batters are dismissed in very quick succession.
Let him bat for longer.
Exactly.
Why would you hold AB de Villiers back? He has reduced it into the Andre Russell of Kolkata. I don't know why they're doing this to AB de Villiers.
I mean, he's not getting enough balls to face, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I some of the games he came after the 15th over. I mean, people like KS Bharat batted ahead of him. I don't know why is this fascination that your best batsman can bat in the later half of the innings. Send him at number 3 or 4. Ideally, their number 3 should be Glenn Maxwell, 4 should be AB de Villiers, irrespective of the match situation.
You get only 120 balls. Why won't you make your best batters face these balls, as many balls as possible? You see, this is one of the most feared batters in the history of cricket.
Yeah.
He is still in very good touch. Why won't you let him bat as long as possible? Why won't you get the most out of him?
Even KKR in one of the games. Even KKR in one of the games sent Russell at number 3. So they are also getting out of.
Didn't get to face a ball, but they sent him at 3. Yeah, they did.
At least they sent, right? At least they think that he can bat at number 3.
Yeah. It will be quite a good top 4 then. That Padikkal, Virat Kohli, Glenn Maxwell, and AB de Villiers, which is what you want in this format. And can be a good call. But
for all you know, they may just lose 2 or 3 wickets in 20 overs. Yeah. And then these 4 will be the only people who will bat.
I think that was the situation against KKR in the India leg game, which they played in Chennai.
And we know Kohli and de Villiers bat very well together. They are known for huge partnerships.
We've also seen Maxwell and de Villiers bat very well together. So
why would you push de Villiers down?
Yeah. And do they have the thrust force in them to push one of the top 2 a little down in the coming games? Will take some beating on the other end as well.
They can.
Who
are their opponents in their last 3 games? I mean, today they are playing Rajasthan. What about the others?
So they're beating Rajasthan, you mean?
So RCB today playing Rajasthan. Then next they are going to face Punjab. And the final game is going to be against Sunrisers.
Okay, so they are winning those 3 games. I mean, most likely.
They have a game extra, which makes it the final game being against Delhi. So they have 4 games left technically.
I think by the 13th game, by the end of their 13 games, they would have qualified.
But
the match against Delhi will determine whether they will finish in the top 2 or not.
That is what the case was last season around as well. And Delhi beat RCB. They had a pretty bad second half, and Delhi beat RCB to get into to confirm that top 2 spot. Might as well be the other way around this time. Who knows? But RCB will need to get that winning momentum moving after from today till that Delhi game. Will be very interesting to see the race.
Rahul, I think talking about the last few games of this league stage, I think we should also think that now there will be simultaneous games. So why did BCCI change that? Abhishek,
I don't know. There are some theories that I read somewhere, I forgot where, that they are probably setting up this scenario because there'll be more teams next year, there'll be more matches. So you'll probably need simultaneous matches.
Yeah.
So they are preparing for that. But why would you need to prepare for that? Maybe they are testing how the TRPs this will reflect on the TRPs. I don't know why they are doing this. This is a format often used in football or similar contests, but there are only 4 teams in a group. So all teams play their last matches together to avoid fixing or to give any team, prevent any team an unfair advantage, because the team that plays last always at an advantage. They know what to do. So to prevent this advantage. But if there are 8 teams and 4 teams play at the same time, so these 4 teams will always be at an advantage over the other 4 teams who are not playing that night. So with 8 teams, it doesn't make sense. But if they are trying out testings for TRPs or something, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they'll let know of a reason. But next year, if there are 10 teams and they want a huge round robin thing, then I can see this overlaps happen.
Yeah. And as you rightly said, the audience
Remember,
isn't not used
in 2010 or 11, right? I mean, they had a very strange format because every team played, I think, 5 teams twice and 4 teams once.
Yeah.
It was a strange format, and it turned out to be a boring format as well. I mean,
there were too many games.
There were too many games. I think that this 10-team tournament may kill that. Otherwise, what they can do is, if there are 10 teams, teams may play each other once instead of twice. Since BCCI already wants matches at neutral venues, that was the original plan this year. And both 2020 and 2021 have entirely been played on neutral venues.
Yeah.
So the neutral venue thing works. It doesn't affect TRPs.
Yeah.
So if that is the case, then they will do away with they may do away with the home and away thing. And if there are 10 teams, so how many matches? So 10 nines are 90 by 2, 45, and then the 4 playoffs. That will be 49 matches instead of 60. That's too few, I think.
Yeah.
But if they play twice, then that will be 90 and 494. That's too many.
Too many. And I guess 49 will be quite an enjoyable scenario for the fans. It can be a 1-month feast, as it always is. But yeah, so let's do predictions.
But if it's 94, it will be a nightmare, honestly.
It will be the proper league format that everyone has been talking about.
Yeah, but the problem with football leagues is they happen round the year, not in a 2-month window.
Yeah.
So
well,
it'll be
we're not there.
An overdose.
Yeah, we're not there yet. We're not there yet, taking franchisee cricket injecting so much franchisee cricket. But let's talk about the predictions just before we round up the episode this time around. Your top 4 calls now. I'm assuming that top 2 are more or less the same as we are thinking.
Top 5 is safer.
Top 5?
We didn't discuss Chennai. Top 5. I can name top 5.
Okay.
Safe option.
Okay.
Punjab, Rajasthan, and Hyderabad are not making it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that would have hurt you, right? You said that with a straight face, but it must have hurt you.
I knew that before. I knew this will happen before the season. Who backs Rajasthan? I support Rajasthan. I don't back them. No, I support them. There's a difference. I like them. I don't think they would win ever.
My God. I mean, okay.
I knowingly support. I am confident that they won't qualify, and I still support them.
Just the clarification for our audience. This right here is the classic Rajasthan Royals fan from season 1. That's where your franchisee is. Okay. So you've obviously kept your team out. Sandipan, I am assuming KKR is going to be in your top 5. They are in your top 5, right?
Well, emotionally, if I say that, yes. But practically, if I think Mumbai will probably somehow will make it. And KKR will finish at number 5. KKR will lose probably one of those games against the lower ranked teams.
So we're still
Punjab is so I'm afraid Punjab will probably the giant killer.
Oh my God. So we're still there. as far as the top four are concerned. Right where we were.
No, top four Mumbai. I mean,
Yeah,
CSK,
I mean-
RCB, Delhi, Mumbai.
I mean, that's what we talked about in our UAE leg preview. We
Yeah,
talked about
I think Kolkata hold a slight advantage over Mumbai. The other three teams, of course, I'm backing them: Delhi, Chennai, and Bangalore. But Kolkata, I'm giving a slight advantage over Mumbai. Kolkata, I think, has 2 points more. They have played one match more. So even if they finish on the same points, I think Kolkata
And better
will
run
have
rate.
that net
run
run rate edge. I will back Kolkata just because of the net run rate.
so yeah.
But I think Kolkata, if they will not win those last 3 games. They will lose one of those, and that's the end of the season.
But even if
And
they
Mumbai
lose,
will win. And
All
Mumbai
four?
will win all their games.
all four,
Yeah. They will beat
Okay.
Delhi. They will beat Delhi.
Oh my God. How afraid we are of Mumbai Indians winning all of their games.
they have.
That's the-
To be fair,
Yeah.
Mumbai has given every reason to be scared.
Yeah. They have. Well, let's hope there's a bit more twist and drama in this IPL tale as we are predicting as of now. Thank you so much, gents, for joining. And I hope you have a nice week. Hope Rajasthan does well. Abhishek da, hope you are a bit more optimistic the next time we're talking about the franchisee.
No, how many points do they have? 8. Sunrisers have 4. So Sunrise, I mean, unless if they have 4 matches left. So basically, the idea is to finish above Sunrisers. Avoid the last spot. If they do that, I'm happy because last season Rajasthan finished last. So if they don't finish last, so that means they have improved.
The progress
I'm
should
happy
be
with
there.
that.
The
Progress should be there.
Yeah,
As long as they finish 7th, I'm fine.
you're in it for the long haul, clearly. Well, that is it from us in this episode of the Cricket News Podcast. Have a nice week. Stay safe. Enjoy cricket. And by the way, speaking of cricket, for everything about cricket, stay tuned to cricketnews.com.